Oh, I know that sound. It's time for the Beer and News Report. Welcome to the Beer and News Report. Cheers. I got a new show for you today. A friend of mine, we're both on Zoom, and we started talking about his show called the Quan News Network, or QNN. I met him at eBay where we're both recruiters, and I've since retired, but he's still recruiting. And now he's doing his own show called Quan News Network. And I wanted to bring him on board and collaborate with him. So, Quan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right, thanks for the great introduction. As Art said, I've got a new show that I'm doing called QNN, basically Quant News Network. It's a satire show. Art and I actually met back at eBay, just as you mentioned, 2012. I just come back from deployment, and I was looking to get back into the recruiting field, and interviewed with Art and Kevin, and got the job. And then, as they say, the rest is history. A little bit about the show, as I mentioned a little bit before. It's sort of a satire show format, so I guess somewhat similar to what you're doing here. And I guess part of the idea came when I first got onto Facebook, kind of a little bit late, surprising. I would post or reshare news stories that I thought were either interesting or important enough to share. And a lot of friends would jokingly say, geez, all we get is all these news reports and pictures. And that's when the joke about QNN kind of started to take form. So here we are.
That's kind of funny because a similar thing happened to me. I retired, and you get bored after a couple months. You got to try to find something to do. And so I decided I'd volunteer at Create TV because I wanted to learn how to do TV shows or even movies. So I go down there, become a member, and you take a course to learn how to run the camera, and you start volunteering. And when you volunteer, you can take other courses for free. So I was volunteering all over the place, and I started taking more courses like field work and how to edit. And the last course you take is how to produce a show. And so I did that course, and at the end, they're like, okay, well, now it's time for you to produce a show. And I'm like, oh, heck, I didn't think of that part. And that's how the Beer News Report got started. I needed to do a show. So it's kind of funny how things just kind of fall in your lap, right?
Yeah, definitely creativity. I definitely know it very well.
All right, cool. So you're now in Utah, and tell us a little bit of your background I know that you were in the military, and well, just tell us about that. How did you, or why did you go into the military?
Yeah, I was born in Vietnam, and after the war, our family escaped. And part of the escape, we ended up in a refugee camp, and eventually, as they say, by the grace of God, because what happened was at some point the government just couldn't handle the logistics, so they just kicked everybody out, put them back on the boats, and it's just like a straight out of a Hallmark movie. At the very last moment, somebody came up to my parents, said, "You're not going." We didn't know what was happening, but a lot of the people that were forced back on the fishing boats never made it. So I remember vividly on the airplane from the refugee camp to France, and I told my mom, "Hey mom, I can't remember. I think I said something about being a cop or military or something. I said I just wanted to give back." And so we stayed in France for about 2-3 years, and then eventually came to the US, and basically the same thing. I remember telling my mom that. So that's how I guess that, if you want to call it that idea, got into my mind way back when. And then growing up, my dad was pretty strict, limited amount of television. So basically running around on our bicycles. And luckily, I live literally a few blocks down the street from the library, and I spent a lot of my time there. A little bit was researching on what happened during the Vietnam War versus what you're taught in school. And, out of all the history books, there was a common theme: the Marine Corps was the toughest, quote unquote, a lot of esprit de corps. And it's kind of funny. I think at the age of 12 or 13, I wrote to headquarters Marine Corps in Washington, D.C. saying, hey, what can I do to get prepared? And I'm sure I can just imagine the guy on the other end just laughing like, okay, kid, you got a few more years. But I did get a reply, stay in school, yada, yada, yada. So that's what I did. And eventually joined the Marine Corps, and well, rest is history, sort of, kind of. I did deploy. So I did my active duty, went back in the reserves. It's kind of fun. One weekend every month. It's kind of like going camping with the boys, shooting at stuff, blowing stuff up, and getting paid for it. So can't complain. And obviously everything changed after 9/11. Got activated, stationed down in Camp Pendleton. Our unit was the quick reaction force for the West Coast, just in case another terrorist attack happened. And we were also responsible for the nuclear power plant at Sanofri, right down the road. If you've ever been on I-5, you can't miss her. And for those, yeah, you'll know what I mean. And eventually got deployed to Iraq, and was my commanding officer at the time was General Mattis, so know him pretty well. And yeah, so I've been deployed Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Beirut, Lebanon, and yeah, 2012 came back, and here I am.
Excellent, excellent. Hey, let me ask you something. When you were in the military, since you were Vietnamese, did anyone ever call you Charlie?
Yeah. Actually, every night. Well, you gotta imagine when I joined the Marine Corps, it was only 5-10 years after the war. So Vietnam was still listed as a hostile country. I actually had to get a waiver for the clearance I needed for the job that I was going in the Marine Corps. But yeah, during boot camp, my drill instructor every night would just kind of walk on by and just kind of lean over and say, you're a plant, aren't you? You're a spy, aren't you? You're gonna get all our weapons tonight and kill us all, aren't you? Well, guess what? I got my eyes on you. It was just funny. So, yup.
All right. Well, cheers to being called Charlie. That's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's get back to your show now. What ideas are, like, for me, I started out, I had a couple things that were kind of hot topics. And like COVID has been, I think I got 4 COVID shows out there already. So that one's huge for me. But for you, what are you looking for in terms of types of shows or ideas that you want to do?
Yeah, obviously you're retired, so you can do this full time. I'm not.
What are you saying? What?
I'm jealous. I can't wait. I think anything that comes top of mind. Obviously, there's some funny stuff. I actually uploaded me going through getting a COVID testing. Oh my gosh, holy cow. I never thought that I would, it's kind of a weird sensation. It's not, I don't know if it's painful, but when that thing brushes, it hits the back of your throat. That's just when I lose it.
Wait a minute, wait. They go up your nose, right? They go in your
But
mouth.
it actually goes down. If you look at your nasal passage, it kind of loops down back here. That's why you got that, nasal drainage.
Man.
Yeah. When it tickles your throat, I just start gagging. And so my first time I did it, they gave me a little Kleenex. I'm like, what do I need a Kleenex for? Just in case, she replied, just in case you cried. Of course, being smart as I was, I said, Marines don't cry, man. Oh boy, let me tell you, you can see that video. It's pretty funny.
Oxygen, no, that's your oxygen. Oh, that's great. Your pulse is 101, though. So that means
really?
you're
just a little nervous.
No, I'm not.
Holly does that.
No, I'm not. I'm not nervous. I'm a Marine. Come on. Oh, I will definitely take this, because last time I was like, what do I need this for? Hey, I was not crying. It was the allergies that got me, all right? Let's just get this torture over with. Holy hell, okay.
You ready?
No, but go ahead.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Boom.
Okay, that wasn't that bad this time.
That's not good.
No. Yeah, it's the throat thing that gets me.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yep.
No, seriously, but yeah, this is better.
Okay.
I don't think you took as much time. Not that I want to redo it. I don't think you took as much time.
No, I still gotta try it. See which one's better.
I'm going to even verify what's your name and date of birth?
Getting back to your point, it could be something like that. It could be, I guess a lot of it, I think it's just like your show where we're trying to make things, what, you've got your traditional CNN, MSNBC, Fox, et cetera. They're very, most of the time, factual. And then you've got, the Stephen Colbert. So it's kind of somewhere in between. And I'm just doing whatever I feel like it and seeing what happens. And hopefully people enjoy it. But definitely I add some facts in there. And when I am making stuff up, I do call myself out on it. So folks don't get lost in that.
Totally. You got to do that. Hey, one thing I learned, people love when you hurt yourself. I did this blooper reel, and on one of it, I fell off the chair, and I missed the crash mat on the side. There's a crash mat on the side. Now, I had practiced, and I fell on it several times. I said, okay, I got this down. And in the actual show, when they're filming, I missed it. And so on my blooper reel, I show that I missed it, and everyone comes back and goes, man, that blooper reel is funny. I really like it when you fall off the chair. I'm like, okay, I get it. When I hurt myself, everyone thinks it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's true. Nothing wrong with those blooper reels. But I think the beauty of technology is sometimes I just get these ideas pop into my head. And I think one was kind of give you an example on my way home, pick up the mail, and I see an edition of Sports Illustrated, and I was just thinking back to us growing up, what Sports Illustrated the swimsuit edition was. So if you look at that video, it's pretty hilarious. I call it a PSA, a public service announcement, but a lot of definitely very humorous. So
hi, this is Quan Nguyen. I am the religious correspondent for QNN, Quan News Network, and want to talk to you about something that's very subtle yet dangerous to our kids. So when I looked in the mailbox today, got my Sports Illustrated, which I love, great writing on something as mundane as the mechanics of pitching a fastball, but the way they make it is just unreal. But once a year, though. Once a year. Yep. It looks harmless, but if you have a teenage boy, or I guess a teenage girl that goes the other way, this, my friend, is dangerous. Basically, AKA spank material. How do I know that? Because the Sears catalog used to be my spank material. So I'm just saying, parents, if you are concerned, just put this in one of the drawers underneath your socks, right? Again, Quan Nguyen, religious reporter, correspondent for QNN, Quan News Network. Have a blessed day.
That's great. And one of the cool things, I never thought it would happen to me, but when you start doing a show, obviously your friends and family will hook on, but you get certain friends and certain family members that respond to you. They're like, they watch the show right away.
Oh.
They say, that was a good show. I really like this part and this part. Or they say something, well, I don't think you were like, I did one where I said, I don't think the United States has ever used tanks, because it was comparing the United States to China. On Tiananmen Square, China used tanks. And I said, I don't think the United States has ever used tanks on protesters. And I got called out. And I was like, oh, man. But when they called me out, I went and researched it. Sure enough, they were right. And I put in clippings to show that I was called out, and here's the proof. But that part's really cool. That means these people are watching, and they're making sure you're talking about truthful stuff.
It almost sounds like a version of fact-checking by crowdsourcing in a sense. I mean, it's not like you and I have an actual fact checker on staff. It's us. So.
Yeah. And then, so when you're doing a show, okay, I'm giving away secrets, so everyone's gonna know this. But when you're doing a show, you make errors, but you can go in and edit them out, right? But there was one that was so bad, it was like a third of the ending of my show had to be taken off. Wow. I had to redo it. So if you watch it, the beer is like one color, and then near the end of the show, it changes color. And everyone caught me on that. I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm an amateur, right? I'm not.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Well, we're almost at the end of the show. Is there anything you wanted to say, or you know, you're reaching out to people? How do we contact you? And is it only on Facebook, or do you have a YouTube channel?
No, actually, I will be getting a YouTube channel. A couple people have reached out to me, but yeah, so far I'm just doing it organically. Nothing crazy. Just got a Facebook page, and then yeah, I'll probably get a YouTube channel here pretty soon. So
I highly recommend it, because the cool thing with YouTube is they give you a ton of analytics. Whenever you put out a show, it'll tell you
right.
where. Well, first off, how many people have watched it, how many people like it or dislike it,
Right.
and then where everyone's watching. So for me, Facebook is huge. That's the main one. And
Sure.
most people watch it on their phones. It's like 60% people watch it on their phones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
I've noticed
Go ahead.
a lot of people, a lot of people just watch YouTube as TV. You know, prime example, our buddy Spencer. And yeah, he says that's all he does is just goes through these different YouTube channels. And so, yeah, definitely looking forward to that. But thanks, Art.
Yeah, no problem. Spencer's great. He's one of my bigger fans too.
Of course he is.
All right. Well, Quan, I wish you the best of luck on your show. And I thank you again for coming on my show. If, you know, we should do this again, maybe in like 6 months, just kind of compare how we've both done.
Love to.
All right. Well, you take care. Well, I hope you liked my interview of Quan and his show QNN. I know I've done a lot of interviews, but next week I'll have one for going back to my regular series where I pick a topic and develop it. As you can see, I'm near the end of my beer, so that means we're at the end of the show. If you liked it, please hit that like button or subscribe, and then YouTube will notify you when I do a new show. You can email me with requests or comments or topics that you want me to talk about. And as always, keep your beer cold and your interest hot. Cheers.